bé, però al final jo crec que el que et fa la diferència és aquesta fam de voler arribar.
Sí, sobretot aquesta motivació, aquesta ambició, la llei aquesta de l'esforç i també el fet que arribin al mercat d'hivern a vegades pots dir, ostres, l'adaptació potser serà complicada, perquè a vegades arribes a meitat de temporada, però crec que tots aquests elements, el que es cuidi, el que vingui d'equips, fixeu-vos, que ja és a punt, al costat del president del Futbol Club Barcelona, de seguida anirem cap allà quan surti, perquè jo crec que està preparat, ja vestit de curt, doncs sí, ens n'anem cap al Camp Nou perquè és que crec que ja... Ah, no, encara no surt. Bé, de seguida que surti pujarem bé el volum per sentir-lo, però el que anava a dir és que l'adaptació realment pot ser més senzilla pel que hem dit, tot i que sigui mercat d'hivern i que arribi a meitat de temporada. Vinga, doncs va, ens n'anem cap al Camp Nou, pugem bé el volum perquè sentim ja també l'speaker de l'estadi amb tot l'ambient i sona l'himne del Barça.
Senyores i senyors, acompanyem el president Joan Porta, Ferran Torre!
Benvingudes i, sobretot, benvingut Ferran Torres, nou jugador del Futbol Club Barcelona, i també volem donar la benvinguda al president del Barça, senyor Joan Laporta, en aquesta jornada tan especial, en aquesta jornada en partida doble de celebració pel Barça. Per una banda, el primer plat fort del dia, la presentació de Ferran Torres, i d'aquí uns minuts també, ja sabeu, l'entrenament a portes obertes del Futbol Club Barcelona, recent arribat de Mallorca després de la victòria d'ahir. I jo vull aprofitar que tenim aquí el Ferran per conèixer ja les seves primeres sensacions. Ferran, què se sent quan surts al camp sentint l'himne del Barça i veus tantíssima gent que ha volgut estar present en la teva presentació?
Bueno, lo primer, donar les gràcies al presi, al club per donar-me aquesta confiança. I bueno, moltes gràcies a tots els culers per aquesta benvinguda.
Què significa tu haver fitxat pel Barça i lluir com portes ja aquesta samarreta?
Pues és un somni, el Barça ja sabem el club que és, la grandesa que té, i vaig a donar tot el que tinga de dins per a portar el Barça on se mereix.
M'imagino que molts de vosaltres us pregunteu com està el Ferran. Sabem que has passat una lesió, t'hem vist treballar en solitari. Com estàs?
Bé, ja estic a punt, la lesió ja està quasi curada i d'ací res ja estaré intentant donar alegries als culers.
Això és el que volem tots, veure't ben aviat sobre la gespa i veure marcar gols, que és una de les coses que millor se li dona al Ferran Torres. Ja sabeu que és una referència en l'atac de la selecció espanyola amb Luis Enrique Martínez, un home que coneix perfectament el joc del Barça, que ve d'entrenar amb el City a les ordres de Guardiola, que també és un fidel hereu de l'estil de Johan Cruyff que va implantar en aquest gran club. Suposo que això, conèixer com juga Guardiola, com li agrada jugar a Luis Enrique, et facilita també la teva adaptació.
Sí, està clar. Tindre dos entrenadors com ells m'ajuda molt a adaptar-me a l'ADN Barça i, com te dic, estic desitjant ja ficar-me a les ordres de Xavi i en els companys.
Doncs ara, Ferran, et demanaré, com veus allà hi ha una lona amb el teu nom, el que volem és que ens la signis, perquè avui ja sabeu que totes les entrades van destinades a la Fundació del Barça. Doncs amb aquesta lona també es farà una subhasta per recaptar fons per projectes de la Fundació. Així que, si us plau, si ens pots signar primer la lona. president. Xavi Hernández deia l'altre dia que aquest és un fitxatge espectacular.
Ho és, Àngels. Bé, bon dia a tothom, bon dia, culers. Avui és un gran dia. El Ferran Torres ha mostrat unes ganes de venir al Barça que li vull agrair. Et vull agrair, Ferran, aquestes ganes que has mostrat per venir al Barça. I també vull agrair a tots els que en el club han estat treballant per que el Ferran vingui a jugar amb nosaltres, amb el Barça. Especialment el Mateu Alemany, el Rafa Juste, el Jordi Cruyff i també en els teus representants. El Ferran ha estat perseverant per venir al Barça. Perseverant, ha preferit el Barça per mostrar les seves virtuts, la seva extraordinària qualitat que estic segur que ens farà feliços a tots els culers. Gràcies també, insisteixo, als teus agents, Héctor, companyia, que heu treballat molt bé. En fi, segur que el disfrutarem. Visca el Barça!
I Ferran, no sé si vols adreçar unes paraules a tota aquesta afició que ha vingut a veure't en la teva presentació i també a tota la gent que t'està seguint des de casa a través de Barça TV i Barça TV+.
Lo primer, moltes gràcies altra vegada per la benvinguda i que necessitem el vostre suport perquè anem a dur el Barça on se mereix. Visca Barça!
Molt bé, sí senyor. Ara fa uns tocs, no?
Doncs ara convidarem el president del Barça a deixar el Ferran aquí a la gespa amb l'altra cosa que jo crec que li agrada més parlar amb això que amb el micròfon, que és la pilota. És el teu moment, Ferran. La pilota, la protagonista. I us deixem amb els tocs de pilota amb el Ferran Torres.
Doncs aquí el tenim, a Ferran Torres, presentat davant dels aficionats del Barça que avui han pogut gaudir d'aquesta jornada especial que acaba de començar amb aquesta presentació, amb aquests primers tocs de pilota del nou jugador blaugrana valencià que ha arribat i ha fet ja aquests primers tocs sobre la gespa en un dia molt especial. Ha dirigit aquestes també primeres paraules al públic, sobretot agrair aquest escalf que avui es veu, que hi ha una festa organitzada a l'estadi. Què us ha semblat aquesta presentació de Ferran Torres aquí sobre la gespa del Camp Nou?
Bé, molt bé, sobretot per veure tanta gent tan il·lusionada, tants nens, i a ell molt il·lusionat, el president també. Jo crec que és un futbolista que li fa molta il·lusió arribar, que té molt bona, com ha dit abans el Sergi, no? Crec que té una mentalitat guanyadora que ja se li veu en totes les seves declaracions. Abans a l'entrevista inicial ell no refusa el protagonisme, diu que ha vingut per donar assistències, per marcar gols, i crec que és un jugador que avui és un dia molt feliç per ell, perquè, ho dèiem, abandona un gran club per anar a un club millor, i en aquest sentit crec que ell se sap important en el projecte, vol ser important en el projecte, i crec que el Barça guanya un jugador enorme en un mercat que, com has dit tu abans, ho he dit, no és fàcil. El mercat d'hivern normalment et dona la possibilitat d'accedir a jugadors no de primera línia, i en aquest cas el Barça té la possibilitat d'accedir a un jugador de primera línia.
Si és que, per exemple, abans repassava fitxatges així d'hivern dels últims anys, Felai, Coutinho i Hermina, recordem que vam estar junts a la presentació també, Todibó, Murillo, Boateng, Arda, Aleix Vidal, que van arribar a l'estiu però que es van incorporar a jugar al gener, aquest seria una miqueta agafat amb pinces, però que seria una mica un moment de començar a meitat de temporada que a vegades no és gens fàcil. Veiem ara el jugador acompanyat del president del Futbol Club Barcelona, que com bé dius també se l'ha vist molt il·lusionat, anant per la banda fins al gol nord i al gol sud per poder saludar d'aquesta manera a tots els culers que avui s'han desplaçat al Camp Nou per donar-li la benvinguda, perquè il·lusiona i molt aquest fitxatge. Tu com l'has vist, Sergi?
Sí, jo l'he vist il·lusionat, però també l'he vist sobri. Crec que no sé si viu com juga, això sol passar, però sí que ho ha semblat. Jo crec que Ferran és un jugador, a mi m'agrada dir que és un jugador més efectiu que efectista. A vegades els extrems són molt vistosos, juguen molt amb el joc de cintura, amb l'arrencar i parar, i en això Ferran és un jugador més sobri. Jo crec que per com s'expressa i per com ha transmès la seva il·lusió, dona la sensació d'estar enquadrat dins dels paràmetres de jugadors estil, bé, Iniesta, perquè és una mica el prototip de jugador tranquil, i dona la sensació que forma part una mica d'aquesta escola.
A l'entrevista amb el Pol, ell ja ho ha explicat, li ha dit com és també la teva vida, com és el teu dia a dia, diu, doncs soc una persona molt tranquil·la, que m'agrada estar a casa, soc una persona familiar, i crec que també va molt lligat amb el que dèiem, que és una persona molt responsable i que el futbol forma part de la seva vida d'una manera molt important, és a dir que inclou, jo diria que un percentatge molt alt, en el que dèiem, de cuidar-se, d'estar concentrat, de ser responsable, i d'aquesta manera també acompanya que el seu rendiment sigui tan alt sent tan jove.
Sí, no sé si és per al fet de ser familiar, més o menys familiar, però sí que se'l veu, i també amb el posat en aquesta presentació, se'l veu que ell, les grans postes en escena no l'influeixen, és a dir, el veig molt natural, molt tranquil, assumint, i ja se li veu una mica aquest bagatge que ha viscut certes coses de cert nivell i amb pressió, i per tant demostra tant la tranquil·litat que ha dit ell com també aquesta capacitat de saber-se adaptar a qualsevol escenari. És un futbolista que té també aquest component i és un jugador que segur que donarà moltes coses al Barça per totes aquestes coses que estem comentant i que també ens està ensenyant en aquesta presentació.
Sí, home, perquè a més amb 20 anys marxar al City tampoc és fàcil, Això jo crec que també a nivell personal també l'haurà curtit i molt, per encarar situacions com per exemple la d'avui, que no ha de ser fàcil, posar-te a fer tocs de pilota davant de tants aficionats el dia que arribes aquí a la gespa, Com va ser aquest pas del València al Manchester City?
Doncs molt natural, la veritat. És cert que ell no ha acabat de ser mai un jugador franquícia del Manchester City, però perquè jo crec que això no és real. Al City el que és franquícia és l'equip, com juguen col·lectivament, i crec que en això el Barça també és bastant mirall en la història. És cert que en els últims anys Messi ha estat un bastió claríssim com a referència blaugrana, però per sobre de tot jo crec que el Barça sempre ha ponderat el col·lectiu i jo crec que en això Ferran encaixarà bé, perquè crec que és un jugador que és molt d'equip, tot i tenir les seves virtuts molt marcades. Crec que és un futbolista molt d'acompanyar una sintonia col·lectiva d'equips que volen jugar bé al futbol.
I fixeu-vos en aquesta imatge, perquè ara mateix el Ferran està parlant a través del robot Pol que tenim aquí al Futbol Club Barcelona de la Fundació. Malauradament, un noi
Los que está en un hospital, pueda pasar un rato de lo más divertido, y más siendo culé, y no solo eso, sino que puede hablar con Ferran Torres y el presidente del Barça.
La porta y també amb el Ferran Torres. És una experiència que permet...
Es esta una experiencia que permite a muchos niños ingresados ver las instalaciones del Camp Nou, ver el Museo del Barça. Es una iniciativa que funciona desde el 2017.
Però abans de fer la roda de premsa de presentació, jo us deixo amb l'Alberto fins d'aquí un ratet, fins després.
Doncs fins aquí aquesta primera part de la presentació de Ferran Torres, que va ràpidament a preparar-se per la roda de premsa que seguirem en directe aquí a Barça TV des de la sala de premsa Ricard Maxencs, que podrem seguir aquí en directe, però que avui, malauradament per la situació de la pandèmia, és de manera telemàtica. I fixeu-vos que bonica aquesta iniciativa, amb el robot de la Fundació podem parlar d'aquesta manera amb alguna persona que es troba malauradament ara mateix ingressada en un hospital i que d'aquesta manera fa que sigui més amè. És molt bonica aquesta iniciativa, fa molt temps ja que funciona i la veritat que l'aplaudim des d'aquí.
Sí, totalment. Molt bonica. Felicitem a tothom que formi part perquè això pugui ser possible i bé, de fet, per a aquests nens és un regal, no? I més en aquestes dates, poder veure-ho de tan a prop, parlar amb Ferran. Bé, coses com aquestes és important que els clubs com el Barça les promoguin i que facin feliç als nens que més ho necessiten, clar.
La festa no acaba, la festa acaba de començar. Hem vist la primera part amb aquesta presentació de Ferran Torres, que ara de seguida el podrem sentir en directe aquí a Barça TV en la roda de premsa, i després també el podrem veure entrenar sota les ordres de Xavi Hernández amb l'entrenament de portes obertes típics de cada Nadal amb tots els jugadors del primer equip del Barça després d'aquesta victòria important d'ahir també al camp del Mallorca. Però abans anem a acabar de repassar una miqueta la trajectòria de Ferran Torres, perquè abans em deia l'Àlex, és que és veritat que té aquest olfacte golejador que s'ha vist sobretot destacat també amb la selecció espanyola. Us volia preguntar justament per això, fins a quin punt també la dimensió mediàtica i el reconeixement internacional també l'ha aconseguit gràcies a, per exemple, destacar sota les ordres de Luis Enrique amb aquell hat-trick a Alemanya, en el 6-0 que va classificar la selecció espanyola per a la fase final de la Nations League, o també els 2 gols que ell mateix ha comentat a l'entrevista amb el Pol que va fer a Itàlia, que van donar la classificació per a la final de la Nations League en el 2-1 d'Espanya contra Itàlia. Fins a quin punt això també ha sigut important a la seva carrera? Perquè després d'aquest doblet va trucar Mateu Alemany, com ell ha explicat al seu representant.
Sí, jo crec que la selecció espanyola ell realment ha aconseguit sentir-se important. Luis Enrique ha emprès un procés de renovació de la selecció que engloba molts joves. El propi Luis Enrique ha mostrat confiança cega en molts d'ells, però jo diria que un d'ells és
de Sant Joan de Déu, de Vall d'Hebron, que de fet avui tenim a l'Adam, que és de l'Hospital Vall d'Hebron, de Germans Trias i Pujol, Hospital Can Ruti, Hospital de Nens de Barcelona, en fi, tots aquests hospitals són col·laboradors nostres. I això ens fa molt feliços perquè, òbviament, no podem deixar enrere aquells infants que en algun moment estan fora de joc, i hem d'estar sempre al seu costat i apropar el caliu que permet tant la Fundació com el Futbol Club Barcelona.
Volia preguntar-te si podíem conèixer una miqueta més a l'Adam, que el tenim aquí amb nosaltres, el tenim allà, li hem dit que vingui, però no sabem ara...
Sí, jo crec que volem fer que vingui. De fet, el robot, perquè sapigueu com funciona, l'Adam té un portàtil a l'hospital i a través d'aquest portàtil ell va teclejant amb les tecles, òbviament, i pot dirigir de forma remota el robot. Llavors li podem dir que s'apropi.
Doncs sí, em sembla que li estan dient a veure si es pot apropar a la zona on estem nosaltres, però d'una altra forma, volia preguntar-te, que ho comentaves, no? Són socis voluntaris els que estan acompanyant aquests infants. Hi ha una base de dades, com s'han d'inscriure? Això està a la web de la Fundació? Com ho podem trobar?
Doncs és un projecte que, com ha nascut de la mà de l'àrea social d'aquí del Futbol Club Barcelona, es poden inscriure a través de la web. Una mica el procés que es fa és, primer, òbviament, es fa una entrevista, busquem aquests socis que puguin destinar almenys un dia a la setmana per poder fer aquest acompanyament, i és veritat que són socis que, més enllà de poder fer aquest acompanyament i d'estar al costat d'aquests infants, també, òbviament, expliquen les anècdotes, que això és un valor no imprescindible, d'explicar com han viscut totes les èpoques del Barça, moments especials quan vam gaudir d'un gol, de les copes que hi ha al museu. Llavors, és a més d'acompanyar-los, és transmetre aquesta il·lusió, aquesta vivència de socis, no?
I per últim, Esther, un dels altres projectes més destacats, especialment en aquesta darrera època, i que ha estat una de les primeres actuacions noves que ha implementat la nova Junta Directiva, és l'equip Genuine, que vam gaudir de la presentació amb el Gerard Piqué i l'Alexia Putelles com a padrins d'honor, i avui tenim diversos jugadors de l'equip Genuine que ens estan acompanyant com a convidats. Què ens pots dir d'aquest projecte, que acaba de començar ara fa poquet?
Sí, de fet, el 8 de novembre va ser el dia que es va presentar oficialment. Acaba d'estrenar-se. Tot just ara han pogut jugar diferents partits amistosos. Ara estan en un moment de fer rodatge, de començar a constituir-se com un nou equip, i és un projecte molt, molt, molt especial. De fet, des del moment que va originar-se, el club ha donat molt de suport. Com deies tu, ha estat una aposta molt ferma des de presidència. Va ser una de les qüestions que es van posar com a capdavanteres des del bon inici de la nova presidència. I ara mateix això són 24 jugadors, són jugadors molt especials, cadascú amb una riquesa molt diferent, que porta molta diversitat al propi equip, dels quals aquests 24 jugadors, a més 4 són noies, per tant és un equip mixte. I és veritat que aquest equip va ser també, a més,
director de futbol, el senyor Mateu Alemany, al costat del gran protagonista del dia, de Ferran Torres, que lluirà aquesta samarreta amb el nom de Ferran i que tot seguit compareixerà davant dels mitjans de comunicació responent a aquestes primeres preguntes de manera telemàtica. Agraïm per això les declaracions d'Esther Murillos de la Fundació del Barça, responsable de programes de la Fundació, que ens estava explicant aquest projecte que és tan interessant i que ajuda i molt a tots aquests nens i nenes que malauradament estan ingressats a l'hospital i en aquestes dades tan assenyalades. Doncs ens n'anem cap a la sala de premsa Ricard Maxencs per escoltar aquesta roda de premsa de Ferran Torres, des que ja és jugador del Futbol Club Barcelona.
Molt bon dia a tothom. Comencem aquesta roda de premsa de presentació del nou jugador del Futbol Club Barcelona, Ferran Torres. Ens acompanyen, com sabeu, és una roda de premsa telemàtica. La situació sanitària provocada per la Covid-19. Ens acompanyen el president del Futbol Club Barcelona, el senyor Joan Laporta, el vicepresident primer i responsable de l'àrea esportiva, el senyor Rafael Juste, el director de futbol, el senyor Mateu Alemany i, òbviament, el protagonista del dia, el jugador del Futbol Club Barcelona, Ferran Torres. Ferran, com sabeu, és un jugador de 21 anys que es va formar a les categories inferiors del València i va debutar al primer equip amb 16 anys. Després va fitxar pel Manchester City a les ordres de Josep Guardiola, amb qui ha estat també una de les figures claus en l'última temporada i mitja, i ara aterra a les files del Barça després d'haver estat també referència amb la selecció absoluta de Luis Enrique Martínez. Abans de donar-te la paraula, Ferran, com sempre fem amb els nous jugadors del Barça, et volem oferir Ferran, esperem que t'hagin agradat aquestes imatges.
Ferran, we hope you enjoyed seeing these images. I want you to explain us your feelings after these first few hours that you've been able to enjoy with the fans in the Camp Nou and in the Barca dressing room.
Bueno, están siendo días muy especiales.
Well, they've been very important and special days for me and my family. It's been a great effort for everyone, including the board of Barcelona, Rafa Juste, the president, and Mateo Alman as well. Says, I want to thank the fans that have received me here, and I'm looking forward to getting out and playing in the Camp Nou. We're also going to hear from President Joan Laporta. Today is a very special day because we present a great player who's shown great enthusiasm to come here to Barcelona. I remember when Mateo Alman talked about this possibility, we were all very happy, and then we had the meeting, the home of Hector and Ferran and his representatives to introduce ourselves. We've got a good relationship, of course, with Manchester City and those that are directing the club. And so good, we bring him here with an objective that we have very clear, knowing the situation that Ferran has. He's recovering from an injury, but we're very grateful for the enthusiasm that he's shown to come here to Barca. He's one of these players that wants to play at Barca. We talk about it being more than a club, and that's what we're trying to show as well through the players. He's very young, but it's very important that he plays in the Spanish national side. He's got a good amount of experience in the world of football, and I'm also very grateful to Mateo, who's been a key part of making this happen. And I think he'll do really well for Barca, and he'll play well for us. Also talk about Ferran Reverte, Jordi Cruyff, Rafael Juste, of course, all the others in the board that have worked hard for this. And so today we can be very happy. Today is a day that confirms that Ferran Torres will play for Barca. We're creating a team of very young players, but all of them have a splendid future and start a new era in Barca. I've said it many times. It's going to be absolutely splendid. We're going to bring us moments of glory for the club that we're dreaming about. We'll get it with players such as Ferran and other great footballers of his quality. And not just a footballer, he's a great person as well, because I've gotten to know you. And so we're very, very happy that we've got Ferran Torres here with us. So now we'll go to questions from the press. One question per.
Benvinguts a la roda de premsa. Recordeu, sisplau, d'indicar a qui feu la pregunta. Començarem per Damià López.
And it will be a virtual press conference connected by video call.
Sí, hola. Hola, Ferran. Bon dia. Damià López de RAC1. Sabem de les ganes que tenim.
We know how excited you were to come to Barca. But it's true that you're coming from one of the clubs that right now are looking like a more successful club, both in terms of sporting and the financial situation. How do you see Barca in these minutes? Well, I've always had it really clear that I wanted to leave Manchester City to go to one of the best clubs in Spain, Barca. And so I was ready to take on that responsibility. I'm ambitious, I'm ready to face some great challenge, and it's a great opportunity for me to come to Barca in this moment.
Bon dia, Ferran, benvingut. Et volia preguntar que amb el Manchester City en Guardiola jo he jugat a la posició de 9, sé que portes pocs anys.
I want to ask you about
alguna conversa amb en Xavi.
At Manchester City under Pep Guardiola, you played the number 9.
És una posició que tu et sents còmode o prefereixes més jugar en banda? Gràcies.
Is that a position you find comfortable and like to play in Barca, or do you prefer to play on the wing? Yeah, it's true that I came as a forward from City, I've always said that my best position is on the right wing. But the great thing is that I can play across various positions, I can adapt well, and I'll play in the position that the coach says that I have to play, and it doesn't matter to me which position he asks.
Hola, bon dia. Ferran, benvingut a Barcelona. Mi pregunta és per al president Laporta.
Question for President Laporta and Mateo Alemán.
Inscribir a Ferran Torres para que pueda ya empezar a jugar y sobre todo si su inscripción
asking about
de la renovación de Dembélé o de que
when they can register Ferran Torres, and if that registration depends on the contract renewal of Dembélé or the departure of other big players like Coutinho.
Sí, bon dia. Bueno, la realitat és que
the reality is that
quan van signar o van decidir
when we decided to sign Ferran Torres, we knew that we had the salary limit, and we've taken that on as a club.
Vostè ha mencionat, sinó diverses més, i tenim el convenciment que aconseguirem abans de Llimona, que és un poc la data que tenim al cap perquè ell estigui disponible, que ell sigui inscrit a la Lliga de Futbol Professional. Per tant, això és la previsió que tenim.
Make important movements to be able to register Ferran, and we'll be doing everything we can to achieve that objective in the coming weeks.
Hola, buenas tardes. Alfredo Martínez de Onda Cero. Mi pregunta también es para Ferran Torres. Bueno,
question now for Ferran Torres.
Va a estar en condiciones de jugar si se marca el partido de la Supercopa frente al Real Madrid para poder.
When do you think you'll be ready to play? Do you think you'll be able to play in the Supercopa match against Real Madrid?
¿Qué busca en el Barcelona? ¿Qué desafíos y qué retos?
And I want to ask as well what you're searching for, what challenges you're hoping for in Barcelona.
La lesión va muy bien.
Injury is going well.
Estamos ultimando ya, pues eso, la recuperación, el nivel físico.
We're coming to the end of the recovery in the physical level. I feel good, very confident, and I hope that I'll be able to play for the Supercopa or maybe even before. Like I said before, I'm an ambitious player. I like big challenges. And like I said, I consider this a good option for me and my family to come here and bring my pinch of sand that Barca deserve.
Sí, hola, Ferran. Joan Sant Antonio del diari Esport. Volia saber també una mica si estàs preocupat o neguitejat, si tens inquietud pel fet que encara avui, dia 3, que és quan s'obre el període d'inscripcions, el club no et pugui inscriure.
So he's asking if he's maybe worried that the club won't be able to register him.
Bon dia, no, estic totalment tranquil.
No, I'm very calm. I know they're doing everything they can possible to work on that.
Però jo estic molt tranquil I sé que al final es pot.
I'm very relaxed and I just need to wait.
Sergi Soler, Mundo Deportivo.
Una pregunta pel senyor Alemany. Bueno, ja
Question for
amb l'agenda de Dembélé.
Jordi Alemán about Dembélé.
Per la renovació, se li buscarà una sortida al mes de gener per tenir
if you don't reach an agreement, will you be looking for a way to transfer him out in January?
No està prevista cap reunió avui, a pesar del que ha sortit al mitjà de comunicació. Tampoc ens agrada molt anar comptant una miqueta el nostre timing.
Not got that meeting foreseen right now. And we've been working now for 5 months with Dembélé and his representatives, between us and the president. The situation you all know really well. They all know really well what we want. They've got a renewal contract offer. And the only thing I can tell you right now is that we can't do anything more. I'm not going to take this opportunity to talk about everything that could possibly happen and give my hypotheses, but we're doing everything we can and they know the situation.
Hola, Ferran, ¿qué tal? Benvingut. Josep Capel de Radio Nacional de España. La pregunta es para ti. Me gustaría
saber
qué rol esperas tener.
Asking what role he expects to have in a team like Barca that's rebuilding with these young players with a big future ahead. You're young as well, 21 years old, but have you spoken with Xavi Hernández, and do you know what they expect of you? Barca is one of the best teams in the world. They'll always come up against competition, but that's a good thing. So I hope that I'll earn the role of being an important player and bring the maximum to the team to bring a bit of joy and keep growing as a football player.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Ferran, benvingut. Mi pregunta es para Mateo Alemany.
Another question for Mateo Alemany.
¿Cómo está el límite salarial del Barça? El otro fichaje que ha habido, la incorporación ha sido la de Dani Alves. No sé si Dani Alves...
About the salary cap, if we've been able to register Dani Alves in La Liga.
Del club, puede haber más de un fichaje en este mercado de...
And if we're looking for players to transfer out or making further signings in this winter transfer window. Says yes, there's enough margin to be able to register Dani. We'll do that today, tomorrow. Depending on other signings, it will depend on who leaves. It's clear that with Ferran, we saw that it was worth the effort to work within the restrictions of fair play to make the signing for Ferran. But we're working now with the coaches and to decide on what other signings we can make, and also looking at who's leaving to fit within the fair play rules. And that's the work now, to keep an eye on the market, look at the options that are available, and make movements during this market window.
Molt bones a tots quatre i bon any. Benvingut, Ferran. Mi pregunta es para el presidente, para el señor Joan Laporta. Presidente.
Question now for President Joan Laporta.
Quizás acaba de decir Mateo, hay un fichaje más, pero todo depende de la salida.
Mateo has just said there could be another signing depending on who leaves.
Un gran fichaje en verano, como es por ejemplo Erling Haaland, del que sabemos que tiene usted muy buena.
Are you still looking for a great big signing in summer like Erling Haaland?
Lo ha explicado muy bien Mateo Alemany.
Mateo Alemany has explained this very well. With Ferran, we've made an exception to take a big step to make the signing before having the salary margin that we need to register him. But the technical staff, the board are working hard to have this margin within the salary cap. So yes, we've got a proposal.
Construyendo un gran equipo. Es nuestra obligación.
Our obligation, our responsibility is to keep making and building this great team, and that's what we're doing. Everything's possible if everything's done well, which is what we're trying to do, is trying to do things well. And we're sure that things will work out well.
Torn para Jordi Blanco, ESPN.
Hola, bon dia i feliç any a tothom. La meva pregunta seria pel president, el senyor Joan Laporta, preguntant el que ha dit el company...
Another question for Joan Laporta about Haaland.
A dintre dels seus plans.
Si arriba abans Morata... Is this player on the table in your plans? Is a possible arrival of Morata in the summer transfer window, and would that mean that Haaland gets pushed aside? What I want to say once again is that the technical secretary is working hard to have a competitive team. For us, that's something fundamental, not just for us, but also for Xavi, the coach. And we value his support for this operation. And the operation is that Mateo Alemany represents us from the start. So far, that's been a successful operation because we've been able to sign a quality player like Ferran Torres, but the team is under construction. All depending on the market, obviously. That Barca continues to be an reference in the footballing market. It also depends that Barca recover their specific place in the world of football, and that all the great players consider that they could come to Barca. From our point of view, we're working very hard to make things happen that are fundamental in supporting level, but also on the economic level. And I want to insist that we're progressing well. Everything is working, and putting an effort in is working out well, and everything is possible. There are these incompatibilities that one player can come, another can't, but we need movements that are urgent for this season so that we can keep fighting this season to be able to try and win the most amount of titles possible, that we can keep competing in the league. Also, we've got the Copa del Rey against Linares on the 5th. Obviously, we're going out there to compete. Then we've got the Supercopa of Spain in Saudi Arabia. We're going to go out there to try and win that. And then also, we're in the Europa League. And that implicates that we need a good enough team that we can go out and give an answer and keep our coach happy. The signing of Ferran in this winter market is very important for the project. And so we're very happy today to be able to announce that we've signed him. The other signings that we've got from the technical secretary and the sporting director, the signings that we've got considered and that we want to announce. But we're working as cleanly and as healthily as possible, trying to keep calm, to be able to go at our own rhythm, because of the market, because of our circumstances, and we want to keep working so that the results continue being the good ones. We're working so that these signings that the team need become realised, and then working so that the coach and the technical secretary can keep working as well into the next season.
Hola, Ferran, bienvenido. Bueno, te quería preguntar, como has estado varios años a las órdenes de Guardiola, un tenido que conoce bien.
Since you played
me gustaría saber si te ha dado algún consejo y qué has aprendido de tu etapa en Manchester que te
under Pep Guardiola. What have you learned in Manchester City? What advice has he given you to come to Barca? I've learned very much. I already said that Guardiola is one of the best coaches in the world. He made me play in different positions. So I've learned to play as a forward. I will take many nice memories of my time at City, things I've learned. And he advised me that I face this next challenge with lots of enthusiasm, with humility, and with excitement to go out and play.
Hola. Una pregunta pel president, Marc Fuster, La Sexta y Antena 3.
Another question for President Laporta about Haaland. He said that everything's possible, but is it realistic that we can make this signing for the next season? Is Barca in a position to be able to make that signing? He says, if you'll allow me, I don't want to talk about other players. He says, we're doing something that isn't beneficial to anyone. The only thing it does for the player is put him under more pressure. We're working hard to reinforce the positions that we need to. Today we've signed Ferran Torres.
que el hecho de que sea valenciano para los culés también nos gusta, porque valencians y catalans som com...
We say, okay, he's from Valencia, but to the culés we like that as well, because Catalans and Valencians are like brothers.
Públicament i en la intimitat.
So I want to say publicly that it's a pleasure to have him here. I'll say this. I'm not going to talk about any players specifically, because I think that'd be a mistake to talk about certain players. Barca are a reference in the market. All the important players all the important players have Barca in the forefront of their mind, and we're working hard to try and improve the squad as best as possible. I say again, the squad is under construction. We're working to improve their sporting situation. Every day we're working to improve the economic situation, and we'll keep moving forward in that way.
¿Qué tal, presidente? Muy buenas. Hola, Ferran. Hola, Mateo. Feliz año a todos. Mi pregunta es para el presidente Laporta.
For President Laporta.
Usted no quiere hablar de jugadores, pero es verdad
Since you don't want to talk about players.
Primera vez en su momento a Ferran Torres con el Barça hubo mofa en ciertos sectores. La gente no se acaba de creer que el Barça pudiera asumir una operación de calado. La ha hecho y Ferran
didn't believe that Barca could make a signing like Ferran Torres, but here he is.
¿Se está subestimando al Barça a estos niveles del mercado?
Are we underestimating Barca in the market right now?
A ver, yo insisto, el Barça...
I'll say it again.
En la exposición. Seguimos siendo una referencia.
Barca continues to be a reference in the footballing market.
Creo que todo el mundo ya se puede ir preparando porque...
And everyone can get ready because we're back. We're back and we're keen to do things well.
Estamos intentando día a día.
And that's what we're trying to do day to day.
Desde la dirección deportiva, la secretaría técnica, la dirección...
That's our work from the board, from the technical secretary, from the sporting staff. And we're trying to recover the position that Barca want to have. And proof of that is that Ferran has shown how keen he is to come here to Barca. This is an indication, very clear, of the project that Barca are doing. And I really want to insist that Barca are coming back on the up. And the market has realised that, and I think everyone should be ready because I'm convinced that we're going to keep improving the team, keep improving the squad to get the success that we want.
Hola, què tal? Bon any a tots. El Bernal del diari Ara. La meva pregunta és pel director de futbol, per Mateu Alemany o pel president Joan Laporta.
Question for Mateu Alemany or President Laporta.
Respecte al mercat de fitxatges d'aquest hivern, si no es poden tancar sortides
regarding the
o altres opcions per poder inscriure
winter transfer window,
la via CBC se segueix contemplant acollir-se a un crèdit tipus el de CBC ni que sigui amb un acord privat entre Barça i
Have you considered the CVC deal to be able to try and register players like Ferran if you don't manage to sell the players you want? So we know in this winter transfer window, it's a very specific market, very specific window.
Situacions com les que hem viscut amb el Ferran Torres.
These are the situations that we've seen with Ferran Torres. And then there are other situations that are a bit different.
En aquest sentit, doncs,
l'operació
de CVC,
the CVC deal, we've not
i condicions que se'ns ha plantejat.
About accepting the conditions that they've offered.
Barça no necessitem més endeutament.
Barca doesn't need more debt. What we need is more income that we can invest.
Ja tenim molt endeutament, estem treballant per reduir-lo.
And we're working very hard to be able to try and do that.
Que si ens feien un altre plantejament, que jo sé que ho han
intentat en un
moment determinat, tampoc ens va encaixar del tot
the situation was different.
I ara seguim oberts a que ens facin...
Consider it a different way, but right now we continue open.
D'acord amb les necessitats del Futbol Club Barcelona.
We continue open, try and reach the deals that Football Club Barcelona need.
No la veiem doncs, interessant pel Barça.
And we don't want to be making deals that aren't in Barca's best interests. This is the situation.
Insistir doncs, que aquest mercat d'hivern...
I'll say it again, that this winter transfer window right now, today, tomorrow, We registered Dani Alves, another player that has come back very keen, very enthusiastic to return to Barca and show his quality. And we hope that we'll be able to register Ferran as soon as possible. Because, as you said, we're working very bravely to make everything possible happen. And we hope that he'll recover soon from his injury. So the answer is that. The winter market doesn't depend on CBC, and the project, as it's considered right now, we have a lot of doubts about it, and so we don't need it.
Hola, bon any a tothom. Pregunta per Ferran. Ferran, ¿es verdad que literalmente picaste la puerta de...
Is it true, Ferran, that you came knocking on Barca's door, said that you wanted to leave Manchester City? Can you explain a bit about how it all happened? Well, these are internal things which will remain between myself and the club and my agents. The most important thing is that right now I'm a Barca player, which is what I wanted most and what I was most excited about.
Bé, doncs, abans de finalitzar aquest acte,
so before we end this press conference,
el Barça, Ferran, vol fer-te entrega d'un petit obsequi com a record d'aquesta jornada tan especial, el dia de la teva presentació com a nou jugador del Barça.
To mark the moment which the president will give to Ferran as a newly signed Barca player.
How long it's going to be? They said that they suspect it will be an hour, so anything less. Well, that was the press conference of Ferran Torres as he addressed the media, being asked, of course, about his initial impressions and his plans as well as objectives now as a Barca player. And meanwhile, I've switched my rostro for Rick Sharma. Rick Sharma is joining us here. How are you doing, Rick?
I'm good.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. I'm excited to look forward to the training session. Excited for what Ferran Torres can bring to Barcelona. I think he's exactly the kind of player that can add goals in attack and take advantage of the spaces.
Yes. Well, what a New Year has been so far. Of course, things couldn't have started better for Barca, not just with that win against Mallorca, not just with the signing of Ferran Torres neither, but luckily for Barca, also when it comes to La Liga Santander competitors, a lot of the teams at the top also dropped some points yesterday.
What a day.
In match day 19, yeah.
What a day for Barcelona in the league. Yeah. You know, apart from Atletico Madrid, everyone else ahead of them lost points, and Barca won. A really hard-fought victory, very tense second half against Real Mallorca. Oh. But they're a point behind Atletico now in fifth. It's very much set up for the second half of the season to go on a charge.
That's it. Just 1 point from that final place in the Champions League, as once again you can hear the Barça himno, the Barça anthem sounding loud in the background, as slowly but surely I imagine the players will come onto the pitch for this second half of today's programming, the much anticipated open doors training session of the Barça first team. And Rick, I mentioned the Barça first team, but seeing as still so many players are missing, or you know what, why don't I take a moment and just be quiet here and let you enjoy the a cappella version of the Barça anthem. Well, there you have it, at least the first verse of the Barça anthem in a cappella. Oh, they're going on with the second one. Well, let's continue talking a little bit as slowly but surely the players are going to come out for this open doors training session of Football Club Barcelona, an annual tradition, of course, an event that allows parents to take their kids to see Barça up close and personal, and in this case, the best setting of all, of course, right here in the Camp Nou. Rick, you talked about how yesterday was a hard-fought match. It was indeed a nail-biting victory once again for Xavi Hernandez's men, but deserved as well, you have to say, based on what we saw.
Absolutely. The first half performance was almost perfect. Luc de Jong eventually got the goal. He hit the woodwork twice, the post, then the crossbar with that amazing overhead kick. And Barca dominated. They had 80% possession to Mallorca's 20%. They controlled the game. Ter Stegen had 2 saves to make, both quite simple from distance. He would have been very happy with that first half. Of course, he was happy with the second half too, because he made that save at the end. But the first half was exactly what Xavi wants from the team, and the second was, it showed grit, determination, and unity to hold on and get a result.
Yeah, no, they did. And I mean, talking about as well the hard or the toughness of this match, of course, we have to take into consideration the fact that Barca were missing, and I'm losing count here sometimes, I don't know if it's 16, 17 players that were officially out, of course, due to injury or due to COVID as well, for not having passed the PCR exams. But I mean, this team was facing all adversities possible. And against a team, mind you, sorry to cut you off, Rick, against a team that at home is very tough indeed. I mean, only Osasuna managed to pick up the 3 points there. Only 1 loss in 9 games. They even managed to beat league champions, still current league champions, Atletico de Madrid at home. So it was going to be a hard-fought and very tough match in any sense, always.
Nothing easy about it at all. And especially, like you said, given the adversity of having that many players out, either injured, suspended, or with COVID-19, it feels like Xavi has come in and has gone through storm after storm after storm.
Yeah.
And every match, we must go into the game thinking, you know, and this is not what Xavi's thinking, because he loves football, he loves tactics, he loves the performance. But really, watching on, you're like, they just need to get a result here. You don't have to worry too much about playing the best game of your life, because you know, there's so many mitigating circumstances, so many players out. Like that team we saw yesterday, I would be very surprised if it ever lined up again, that exact team.
Yeah.
Because already Alba and Dani Alves are back now, and you know, maybe they'll be in the team next time. And they put out an 11 that never played together before, may never again, and they put in that gritty performance to get the points.
Well, I was going to mention that as well, Rick. The fact that many of these players had never played together before in an 11, not just players from the B team, but also from the youth ranks as well, having to join this squad and really pull out what can only be described as an emphatic, dare I say, miracle-like performance, or win rather.
I said this when we were doing the game yesterday, last night on Barca TV. There's almost a cheat code at Barca, because all those kids that come through La Masia play the same football.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter necessarily if they've never played with each other before, because they know the mechanisms, they know what they have to do on the pitch. And that's, you know, Xavi has always loved that style of football. He wants to play that style of football. He's obviously been very keen to lean on La Masia, bringing on 2 new players from there, or 1 new player from there, and another player for their debuts last night.
Exactly, another debut.
That's a cheat code that Barca have, and not many clubs, maybe no other clubs, have that ability to do that.
If my count is not letting me down here, I believe it's 4 players that have so far made their debut this season that are still officially teenagers. So yeah, they just keep on coming. And of course, I mean, Gavi as well, a player that not just for Xavi and their ex-manager Ronald Koeman was of utmost importance, but also for Luis Enrique. He had no doubt to select the then 16-year-old for the Spanish national side, even though he had never, or he was still officially a Barca player.
It's absolutely fascinating that now they've got Luis Enrique in charge of Spain, Xavi at Barca.
It's a good dynamic. It's a good setup.
Yeah, and Barca, with Ferran Torres arriving as well, they're going to have so many internationals in the Spain team, which I think is a healthy sign that even though that last year didn't go as Barca would have wanted, it was a painful year, there was lots of struggle, that things are building up again. I think you get that feeling around, look how many people are here today. There's an excitement at Barca, and those kids are the ones that are providing that excitement, because they're the future, they're growing. You know, Barca had a legendary team, and Dani Alves was in that legendary team, and now he's back. So you need that guidance from the veterans still. Sergio Busquets, Gerard Piqué, who, by the way, last night, absolutely incredible against Real Mallorca. So you have that guidance, but the excitement is going to come from the young players who are finding their way. And every game they go out there, like Gavi, as you mentioned, flying into tackles, looking to prove himself in every moment. And I think that is a very exciting formula that Barca have cooking.
It is. And let's talk a little bit about the signing of Ferran Torres as well, and just how well he gels into this mix of this group of players, because there was a lot of talk of perhaps Barca having more urgency to sign perhaps an all-out number 9, and some heads were being scratched when the Ferran Torres signing was announced. But let's not forget that Ferran Torres is a kind of player, as versatile as he is, and Rick, you'll know much better than me, and I want you to share your opinions on this as well, and how he will fit into Barca. But he is also a player that can score goals. I mean, before you came on, I was reading some of the stats out to our viewers. The fact that, and in the Premier League as well, mind you, he was the 13th most efficient shot taker in the Premier League, converting 1 of every 5 shots. He had a 0.19 conversion rate, so let's call it 0.2. 1 of every shots went to the back of the net. Now that's just shots, but when it comes to shots on goals, he converts 1 of every 2 shots that he takes on goal, making him the 11th most efficient shot conversion taker on goal, that is, of the Premier League. So yes, it's a player that we all have in mind of being a right winger, maybe a player that generates more for his teammates, maybe a player that is generous as well in assists, runs into space, whether it is to receive the ball or create space for his other players, but he's got a goal as well.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what they say here, isn't it? Tiene gol.
Tiene gol.
He has goal.
I'm translating it.
Yeah.
Right.
And he does have goal. Yeah. He's a lethal player. And look, I don't want to put too much pressure on Ferran Torres. Okay, it's wrong to do that. But who was the last player that Pep Guardiola converted from a winger into a false 9? And he moved Ferran Torres to false 9 at Man City because he has that goal-scoring ability. Pep saw that, Luis Enrique has seen that and has done the same thing with Spain. And I think that versatility is going to be crucial for Barca, because especially this season when there's so many injuries and there's COVID, you're going to want your players in different positions. I think Ferran Torres will probably fit in nicely as a false 9.
Well, why don't we take a moment now to connect with Mai Rostro. Mai, you're walking along the Barca pitch, and how are the festivities coming along?
I have to say, Diego, I'm sorry, but I have to change my position because here I have better view. We're seeing some of the players in the stairs getting ready to come. Dani Alves, some of the players that obviously want to do the training session to do in front of all the fans, that we saw many people supporting and saying that the only way you can get infected here today is because of the excitement to be a culé and be able to be here at Camp Nou today. We're seeing the players about to come. We're seeing now all the fans getting ready. Let's take a look on this big day because it's the open doors training session.
The first team coming out on the Camp Nou pitch, being led by Dani Alves. Of course, the Brazilian is itching to get out back on the field and enjoying some minutes with his teammates. Some new, some old. And there we have team captain Sergio Busquets, also rallying the team together and getting ready for what I imagine will be a picture. Rick, are they going to pose for a picture? Yes, that's exactly what I think they're going to do. As the training session will get on the way, once the group picture is taken, I don't know if you can see on the screen here, Rick, but I'm trying to count how many players of the first team there actually will be taking place in the training today. I did see Memphis. I'm seeing Ansu Fati and Pedri back as well. So several of the first team players that did not play yesterday will be in today's training session. There we have the hero, one of the heroes, Marc-Andre ter Stegen, who also deserves to get a whole bunch of credit because thanks to his emphatic save there, his hero-like performance in those dying minutes against Mallorca, we managed to pick up those 3 points as well. And what a fantastic achievement it is for Marc-Andre ter Stegen to keep all the goals out of the back of the net. The team now saluting the fans and moving over to the middle of the pitch to start today's activation session, as they like to call it in Spanish, under the orders of Xavi Hernandez. And Rick, I was just saying, the emphatic performance of Marc-André ter Stegen as well. How good was it for him to be able to keep that ball out at the back of the net in that final save in those dying minutes against Mallorca, allowing this team to leave, of course, with the 3 much-needed points?
It was absolutely crucial that he saved that. I mean, that, like you say, it won Barcelona that game. And I think ter Stegen, you saw his reaction to his own save, his celebration, his sticking his chest out, all the players going over to him, and Araujo, Piqué, they all gathered around him and hugged him. It was a phenomenal save, because to save a volley from that distance, about 8 yards out, from a very powerful effort from Costa, he moved his right arm up and parried it away, and it wasn't one of those saves which is right at him. He had to move to save it, and that to me is a sublime save, and hopefully a sign of how the year is going to go for him. Great start to the year.
A great start to the year indeed, and of course he was on the back end of a much-needed win like that, where he was able to keep his goal, of course, his goals tally at 0. And doing so by keeping out such a threatening attack as well from Mallorca makes it all the more valuable and all the more important as well, as we're seeing Ricky Puig there having some fun with some of the staff. And what a great day it is indeed for Barça to come out today on this beautiful sunny day here in Barcelona and train in front of the fans, as excited as they are. We're seeing Dani Alves still leading the team. Dani Alves, you imagine that he will become sort of a spiritual leader of this dressing room, don't you think?
Absolutely. I almost imagine him as being the embodiment of Xavi on the pitch.
Right.
Because Xavi and Alves are very close. They have a good relationship. And Alves, he understands his role here as well as to play. And I think he will contribute a lot in terms of playing this second half of the season. He is going to be the leader. He's going to bring Xavi's ideas, transmit them to a young team, a team that needs that kind of encouragement and guidance from veterans such as Dani Alves. I'm really excited for his second coming at Barca.
Hey, in fact, you got a chance to comment that game against Boca Juniors, if I'm not mistaken, where Dani Alves proved that he still has a lot of gas left in the tank as well. But Mai, what are you seeing from your side of the area?
Well, Diego, I don't know if you were looking at the image, but it was Dani Alves the one saying to his teammates, let's go this way, let's go in the line, let's go say hi to the fans. He was leading the group and everyone. You can see, obviously, the good atmosphere between all the players because of that victory yesterday night. All of them are really happy about that 3 points. But obviously happy to see all the fans here supporting. It's the 23rd, it's a Monday. We know a lot of people are back to work and everything, but they're here. They want to see the team, they want to see the squad, they want to see Xavi, of course. And we have great news because later on we will have a player in English just right here on Barca TV+.
Okay, oh great. Can you give away who it is, or is that going to be a surprise?
Surprise.
Surprise, surprise. Okay, well, let's leave that as a surprise, Mai. Thank you. We'll connect back with you a little bit later. But Rick, I was just, we're on the topic of Dani Alves, and Mai just said it herself as well, already taken the initiative and leading the team as they made their little round of honor. He's going to be a leader in this dressing room, whether it will be from the touchlines as say more of a spiritual, moral leader of this team. But as I was talking about that game against Boca Juniors, we saw that he still has a lot left in the tank as well. I mean, he's in tip-top shape.
He really is. I mean, you don't go and win the gold at the Olympics with Brazil against players half your age, in some cases, if you're not in great shape.
Excellent point.
He was probably the best player on the pitch against Boca Juniors in the Maradona Cup, and I think that Alves added a lot creatively to the team. He put in a few good crosses, and his positioning was very interesting. At times he played almost as a central midfielder. And we know in Brazil, when he was playing there, recently he played a lot in attacking midfield, and so he's got that kind of extra ability to find where he needs to be on the pitch, and those are the best players, the players that can read the game themselves and understand where they need to be to help influence the match. And to me, Dani Alves is that player.
And how do you think a player like Serginho Dest will feed off of that experience from a player like Dani Alves? What do you think the conversations will be like as we're seeing here the first images as well of Ferran Torres there with his new teammates, all smiles, of course, as they'll be well familiar with each other, friends from the Spanish national side. But yeah, can you talk a little bit about that? How do you think Serginho Dest will be influenced by somebody like Dani Alves?
I think if you're Serginho Dest and Dani Alves comes back into the club, there's two ways of looking at it. One is, this guy is going to try and have my minutes, so I need to improve and play and compete and try and keep Dani Alves out of the team, which is obviously a big challenge. But the other way of looking at it, and I think Serginho Dest will do both, because as a professional you need to be able to have that competition to earn your place in the team. The other way of looking at it is, this guy coming in is the guy that's the best right-back in football history for Barcelona, possibly the best right-back in football history, full stop.
Full stop,
so who better to learn from
and
take guidance from and see how he contributes in attack and see how he can help in defence. And I think that it'll be a massive learning experience for Dest too.
And talking about players that can contribute in attack, we're seeing Ansu Fati there alongside of Memphis as well. Two players that are, of course, key when it comes to Xavi Hernandez's attack, and two players that have been out. They'll be back hopefully soon, judging from these images. They look that they're healthy, and hopefully they'll be match fit. Well, maybe not Sunday. We'll have to wait for, of course, official confirmation on that. But these two players, of course, will be fundamental for this second half of the season for Barca.
Yeah, I think that it's nice to have had a little break, even if it wasn't an enforced break in that way.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, if you have that rest, you can come back with a renewed wind and vigour. And I think that's what Barcelona need, isn't it? Obviously, Ferran Torres coming in as well is going to help in attack. And that additional goal threat, additional kind of freshness. Because to beat a man, and that's the key these days in football, is to be able to, in attack, beat your man and completely open up the opposition defence. Because the defences are so well drilled, you need that ability to go past somebody and then suddenly the pitch is open. And you see that also with winning the ball high up. When they press high up, you also need that freshness to be able to chase down defenders when they're on the ball. And I think that them coming back is going to be a big factor for Barcelona going forward, especially in this month with so many away games. Barca have a lot of tough games coming up, and they need everyone back and everyone as fresh as possible. And I think that's going to happen step by step.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy month of January for this team indeed. Of course, we have the Super Cup as well, a Clásico nonetheless, that'll take place in what will be a Super Cup that'll be played over two matches, of course, the semi-final and eventually the final. But something I like to do, Rick, which is not always nice necessarily, but I like to put our guests on the spot. And I like to ask them what they think that, in this case, Xavi Hernandez will take as, let's just keep it as the front three. What will your ideal front three be now that we have Ferran Torres, who's in, once Dembélé, Memphis, and Ansu, all of them will be healthy and back and rejoin his squad. We've got Martin Braithwaite, of course, as well, is still out for a long-term injury, but has been very productive indeed for this team and can provide a lot of value for Xavi. So, judging from the players that we have right now, what will be your ideal front three be?
Don't worry about putting me on the spot, because this is something that I've been thinking about myself. I'm really excited when everyone is fit to see Ansu Fati on the left, on the right Ousmane Dembélé, and up front Ferran Torres in the false nine role that he's played at Manchester City, because that front three has speed, it has goals, it has skill, it has the ability to beat players, like I was just saying, is crucial in modern football. And I think that attack is going to help Barca in defence as well. And what I mean by that, I don't mean the players are going to be doing a huge amount of defending. I mean, that attack is so terrifying that if you're playing against it and you're on the other team, you don't leave massive spaces for those three players to rip into. You have to sit back yourself more than you would choose to otherwise. And that is going to help Barcelona push higher up the pitch and compress everybody into the opposition half, just how Xavi wants the game to be played.
Now, do you imagine as well that maybe Ansu, seeing as Ansu also played as a number 9 for the youth team as well, can you imagine maybe the rotating between Ferran Torres already and Ansu Fati as the game progresses?
Absolutely. I mean, all those three players can play in any of those three positions and have.
I mean, Dembélé exactly being. I was going to say by-footed, but
double-footed. Both-footed is how I would say. Both-footed. Yeah. And Dembélé played as false 9 last season. Ansu Fati's played on the left, played up front. Ansu Fati, at the moment, well, at least when he plays, even when he came back after such a long time, almost a year, out injured, everything he touched turned to goals.
Everything.
He's got the Midas touch.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And again, we're seeing there the images of Ferran Torres as a Barca player with his new teammates as well. How exciting it is, of course, to add on a player with so much talent. And I mean, it has to be said as well, of course, he spent a year and a half at Manchester City, and I believe he's been on what has it been, Rick, 3 months roughly injury now. And he's had a lot of competition there as well. I mean, judging from the stats that I just read out, I don't know if some of the surprised you or not, the fact that has got such a high conversion rate. But in his initial season, his last season there, he scored a goal every 1,300 minutes. He scored 7 goals and made 2 assists, making him officially the best debutant under Pep Guardiola. So take that as you will. And this season, well, he scored 2 goals and 1 assist, scoring a goal every 300 minutes. But again, just talking about that fierce competition that he had in City as well, that has to be something that we have to take into account. Because looking at the minutes played, you might have expected him to play more minutes, but your Foden, your Kevin De Bruyne, your Gabriel Jesus, your Grealish. I mean, the competition is so fierce.
Riyad Mahrez.
Right, exactly.
It's incredible.
It goes on and on.
I think that has worked into Barca's favour, that competition.
To make that signing
because
happen.
Because the more Ferran Torres plays and played at City, the better he looked.
Yeah.
And so I'm almost, maybe it's a gift from Pep Guardiola to let him come to Barcelona, because he was great for Man City. And you saw at Valencia, I think he scored about 9 goals in 97 games, if I'm correct. And then at City, he scored 11 in 30 in his first season. An instant step up in goal scoring quality.
Yeah.
And I think that Guardiola, I think honestly he would have probably liked to keep him, but if Ferran Torres wanted to come to Barcelona and he did and he wanted to go, Pep decided, okay, I have got all those other players. I have got, Mahrez, Grealish, whoever you want up front, and we'll let him go because he wants to come. And so Barca have ended up with a huge win from the situation because of City's strength and depth.
No, absolutely. And it's a good thing you point that out as well, because when he arrived at City, he started off in an absolute bang. In those first 6 months in particular, he went so well. He scored in his first initial 3 Champions League games, 3 consecutive times as well, making him the youngest Spanish player ever to do so. And it sort of happened when Manchester City, at least from my perspective, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rick, but then a switch happened sort of around December last year, where City went on an incredible run. What was it, 20 or 21 games or something of an incredible run of an unbeaten streak, where at that point Torres had fallen out of that let's say formula that seemed to be just working perfectly for Pep at that time, not taking it away anything from how well he started, of course.
No, I think you are right, and that again is a little bit of luck for Barca, because it's his first season in England. It takes time to adapt.
Also, exactly.
And I think that also played a part in Ferran Torres wanting to return to Spain, and obviously he did very well with Valencia in La Liga, and he's comfortable in the league already, which is a boost for Barca. But it's just, that's how life works sometimes. There are little things that don't quite go, and it leads to one thing to another. Yeah. And in this case, it's led to City thinking, okay, we can let him go, and Barca benefiting by signing Ferran Torres. I think he's going to, it's provided he can get back, and he said today that he's even hoping it could be possible to be back for Sunday.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
Oh, is that what he said?
Against Granada, yeah.
Oh, right.
Earlier
I heard
he said
2 weeks.
mid-Jan, and then today he said for perhaps even for the Granada game. So it's, you never know. I know Barca have work to do with getting him registered. Aleman was saying earlier about that. So we'll see if that can happen, if he would be ready for Sunday, or maybe it will be a bit later. But as soon as he can come in, I think he's ready to have an instant impact, which is amazing, because he's also a player that can have an impact over the next 10, 12 years, given his age.
Well, another player that's going to have an impact over the next 10, 12 years, Rick, is the player we're seeing on our screen and training at full force, Pedri, who has been out for a long time, but we're, of course, ever so anxious to see him back out on the pitch and join his teammates as well, and join what will be a very new midfield for him indeed.
I think it will be new for him, but I think he's shown he can just adapt to any situation, any team, Spain, Barcelona, instantly. Even when he moved to Las Palmas, he wasn't expected to play straight away, and he came in and just played the whole season for them. He played almost every single game for Las Palmas, and I think that Pepe Mel, his coach at the time, said that he saw him and instantly knew this guy is going to be in the team. And I think that Pedri, I can't believe Barcelona haven't had Pedri this season. He's only played a couple of games.
It's crazy, right?
It is crazy, because he was, for me, perhaps the best player they had last season.
Oh, yeah.
So to have Pedri, what a signing that is to make in January.
Another January
a top-class
signing.
midfielder. The only thing is, Gavi and Nico have been fantastic as well.
Well, that's
Sergio
the thing.
Busquets is also having a good season now.
Exactly.
And Pedri's going to have to work to fit in, and you never would have guessed that last season.
Of course. And we know that Xavi bases his starting 11 on meritocracy, of course, but given his talent and given how well he played last season, Rick, we have no doubt that he will slot back into this team with the same ease that he did when he first arrived from Las Palmas and just took the world by storm, and winning this year also the Golden
Boy.
Golden Boy, thank you. I was going to say the Golden Boot, but it was the Golden Boy, of course.
That's the one thing one thing Pedri for him to work on this season is he gets in good goal-scoring positions, but his finishing is something he can still improve on. Maybe one day the Golden Boot.
One day, Rick. Mai, how are things over there from your end?
Well, Diego, we're just in front of this rondo, the rondo with Ferran Torres, with Arnau Comas, with Pedri, Alvaro Sanz, Stanis, all of them that are just in front of us doing this rondo. Next to them, we have Ansu Fati, Dani Alves, Umtiti, Busquets, Lenglet, Memphis, Jordi Alba. And in the other part of the pitch, we're seeing the recovery session from the ones that played yesterday in the starting lineup. Piqué, Mingueza, Eric Garcia, all of them, Araujo, they're all doing the recovery session. And our coach taking a look on both rondos, because obviously anytime soon we will have more players available.
The players being observed under the watchful eye of Xavi Hernandez indeed, and the rondo is going at full force.
Wow. You can hear actually the fans every time they do a nutmeg or a skill or something like that. They obviously express the excitement, and for the players, they're actually having fun right here because it's a different type of training session. Right now, they're doing more like a workout apart from the rondo, and we will see if they're going to prepare something different. They're probably going to see, obviously, a little match just right here because we have both goals. We're seeing the goalkeepers getting ready. We're seeing Iñaki and Neto, and we will see how it goes today, but at least they actually feel the good vibe from all the fans and the sunny day we have here in Barcelona.
Yeah, absolutely. The good vibes are very present indeed, and it must be fun as well for the players to take part in these kind of rondos and then hear the oohs and ahs of the crowds as they nutmeg each other and just have fun with these kind of training sessions.
Obviously, as can you imagine, all the fans are crazy with Pedri. They have called his name many different times, and with Xavi also, but everyone is excited about this day. It's something that is a good tradition from this club.
Absolutely, and Rick, you can't hear our colleague Mai, but she's just saying how Pedri is being one of the players that is being called out the most. We're seeing him on our screens, of course. All the fans anxious to see him back out on the pitch. And on that note, I want to put you on the spot again, because with the new midfield that we were talking about before, with the eruption of the likes of Nico and Gavi as well, what is going to be your starting midfield?
I'm tempted to cheat here and go for four midfielders. Like Xavi has used.
Yes, he has.
He used that four midfielder formation because, okay, once everyone's fit, I think, it's so tough because one has to go still out of the sort of the five huge names in there. I think based on performances this season, you can say Frenkie de Jong, Busquets, Gavi, and Nico. But then obviously when Pedri comes in, let's say he comes back in at the same level he left at, I think Pedri comes in, but who drops out? It's really tough. Maybe over time, over the course of the season, the changing of the guard, maybe Busquets will come out. Frenkie de Jong will play in that position he played yesterday, in the Busquets role, and he did a very good job yesterday, Frenkie de Jong. Helped control the game, helped Barca dominate, especially in the first half. And then you can have Pedri in there too. And maybe Pedri deeper with him alongside him, and Nico and Gavi further up to help press.
So more of a double pivot.
Exactly. I mean, with that sort of four-man box formation that Xavi has used. Yeah. Because Pedri last season did a really good job next to Sergio Busquets in the second half of the season. Yeah. He was more exciting in the first half for me, playing really close to Lionel Messi, and those two worked together really well. But then what the team needed in the second half was him to come back and play next to Busquets, play close to Busquets, give him an ally, someone to work with and pass with. And look at the run Barca went on in the second half of that season. So even if individually Pedri didn't shine in the same way he did in the first half, his performances were absolutely crucial to that run. And a player who'll do what the coach wants because it helps the team is invaluable.
Now you talk about how good Frenkie de Jong is in a more deeper central midfield role, but where do you think he shines better? I mean, we hear so many people express their opinions how Frenkie de Jong needs to be more offensive-minded. He needs to play further up the pitch. Where do you stand on that debate?
It's tough because he came in with Ronald Koeman and played in a more attacking role, and he scored a bunch of goals. And suddenly, like, whoa, now he's a threat. And he's also an aerial threat when he gets forward into the box. Crosses coming in. I saw him score a couple of headers, and he did arrive with the llegada, as people say in Spain, the arrival into the box at the right time. I think that it is tough to say he should be moved back, but in the long term, it's really hard to replace Sergio Busquets. And in Frenkie de Jong, you have a player who is one of the very few capable of playing in that role, in that position. And I think that will be his long-term home for Barca. And we saw the control he had there yesterday. And with Pedri, with Nico, with Gavi, who can all play a bit further forward as well, I think that they can add the goals that Frenkie would add if he was playing further forward.
So you're opting for a 4-player midfield then?
Yeah, we'll stick with my three-man attack, 4-player midfield. We're going the 3-4-3 that Xavi's been playing.
Well, now we see Xavi Hernandez and his coaching staff making in the round of honor and being applauded by the fans.
Yeah, it seems like it was yesterday or a week ago when he arrived, and he has this big welcome with all the fans, the same as today with the Camp Nou full of fans for a day like this in the middle of a week. Obviously, you can hear it, Diego, all the fans saying Xavi, cheering his name. He's obviously saying thanks to the fans because we're like what we're seeing, and we trust him since the very beginning. And obviously, things are getting better and better for us. And of course, it's not just a thankful thing and a good thing to say. It's just because he's a legend of this club, and what he's doing, I mean, hats off.
Absolutely. And on that note, Rick, Xavi being hugely, of course, celebrated by the fans. The fans maybe are still sort of rubbing their eyes and can't believe that they're seeing one of their legends now taken over as a coach. Mai was talking about things improving under Xavi Hernandez. What are some of the things that you're noticing in particular that you say, well, there's a clear difference here and an improvement ever since Xavi has taken over?
I think that the most important thing for me is the width. Xavi has insisted on playing very wide in attack, and it helps stretch the pitch. And we saw yesterday Ricky Puig is quite good at this, spreading the ball from one flank to the other, shifting it left to right, circulating it just to help look for the little gaps in the defence to help penetrate. And I think that the width has done that. And the other thing that's really important is the high pressing, especially from the two interior midfielders. Again, Ricky Puig, who was in that role yesterday, and Nico, winning the ball back close to the opposition box. A couple of times they won it back close to Mallorca's penalty area and created chances. And as a result, and this is another factor too, that the high defensive line, that comes from the high press, and suddenly opposition attackers have to run 50 yards before they can have a shot on Ter Stegen's goal, which makes it much less likely they're going to score.
Now, we did, of course, hear Xavi express several concerns of his when it came to this team and how they're not capable yet to fully execute what he's demanded of his. And he talked about he was surprised at some of the mannerisms that are being instilled from a very early age already with the youth ranks that we're not seeing come to fruition so far with the Barca first team. Is one of those things maybe the, let's say, the difficulties that this team still experiences when it comes to defending with the ball, or even taking away the ball, or recuperating possession rather once the opponents take the ball away? Would that be one of those things?
I think so, but I think it's improving with every game. Obviously, that's what Xavi is focusing on seeing whatever deficiencies Barca had and trying to solve them and fix them and improve them. And that's one of them they're getting a lot better at. I think, as I said earlier, Nico, who is normally would be a defensive midfielder, but playing an attacking role, helps win the ball back further up the pitch. It helps defend with the ball, like you say. And I think that Xavi is always going to be, as a coach, he's a perfectionist, isn't he? He's always going to be looking for anything that's not going exactly to his plan and working on how to solve it.
Well, we're hearing the oohs and the ahs of the crowd as the entire team is now taking part in this rondo.
Yes, Diego, we're seeing Dani Alves, Memphis, Ansu. Both rondos now are together, and they're just a big one. And obviously, we're hearing now the fans cheering Dani Alves' name because he's, right? Yeah, he's obviously the main guy for this big party, as always.
And he's loving it as well. Hearing his name being called out by the fans. He wanted so badly to come back to play for this team, and here he is, live in the flesh and looking great in tip-top shape.
Yeah, I mean, everyone wants to see him wearing the Barca jersey again anytime soon. We know we have to register in the competition. We still have to do some papers on, but obviously it's about time. We're going to see him really soon wearing the Barca jersey and playing an official match. We saw him playing in the Maradona Cup, but it's not the same. We know it's a friendly game, but this time I think all the fans want to see the redebut of Dani Alves because it's obviously a big guy. You can hear it, Diego. I think obviously at some point for the players, no, it's a foul, we can say it. Yeah, but we can hear for the fans that between the players, it's even more, you know, like the pressure because you have all the fans. If you do a nutmeg, they're going to applaud you. And if you are the one who received the nutmeg, you're going to be the one, you know, pointed out and they will do like, ooh. But it's quite funny to see the atmosphere between the fans and the players. We're seeing Ansu Juan now taking part of the rondo, and they're going to run in the middle of the rondo. And yeah, you're seeing this.
Here it is, the captain and the wonder child that is Ansu Fati are now in the middle of the rondo. Memphis passing it on, and yeah, as you said, Mai, there's a lot of pressure on these players because the fans will have their phones out, so any player that will get nutmegged will go viral pretty much instantly, I would imagine.
I mean, it's not the same to be a Ciudad Sportiva. They just do it between them. They're making fun if they do a nutmeg or one of them is the one receiving, well, what we saw at the beginning is type of a breach full of punches and things. But this time it's quite funny. We're seeing now Dani Alves making fun with Ansu Fati. And of course, the good vibes. And they're enjoying this type of different training sessions because it's just once a year.
That's it. Hey, and from here, I don't know if you can appreciate it better over there where you are, Mai, but it looks like the players are breaking a sweat as well.
It looked like a player what?
Are breaking a sweat, are getting the their proper warm-up going. Yeah.
Well, since time ago, because I was looking at some of them like Arnau Comas or Pedri or Memphis, and they're sweating. Obviously, the temperature is really good at this point, but they're playing with the rondos. They're playing with obviously that runs and that space, and we're hearing now obviously the nutmeg from Memphis. But yes, definitely they're warming up a lot. We will see how long it's going to take this training session, but we're definitely seeing different things. And the good news is even though the players are not fully fit or not green light, they're here, they're also taking part of this, and they want to be on this day with the fans.
Absolutely, Mai. It's fantastic to see also slowly but surely the players that have been out for a little while rejoin the ranks of the first team and getting used to, again, training alongside of their teammates. And in this occasion, getting the applauses and the cheers from the crowd, much deserved because, my God, I've seen a few of these rondos, Rick. I was going to call you now the Spanish version of your name, but up close and personal. But it always impresses me just how talented and how quickly the ball goes around and how good, you know, how well the control is of these kind of players in such a small, tight area as well.
Absolutely, it's so intense seeing it live in the flesh.
Exactly.
And the way you can see the power with it, which Busquets and Titi and Ansu Fati were sliding in to try and win the ball back, and the quickness and the speed of thought as well as of body and foot of the players to like a little flick just to get it past the slide tackle, just to dink it over the slide tackle, and to keep it. And you watch it on TV, and I feel like you don't quite understand the intensity until you see it this close, and you can hear the players sliding in and charging around.
Yeah. No, of course, it's a wonderful occasion for the fans as well to see this up close and personal. I remember, well, I'm going way back in the day now, where sometimes you were able to see the team practice on what is now the parking lot just in front of La Masia. It used to be a training ground, and we would huddle around the fences there just and hold on tight because you could also slip off and fall into the street where the car would pass you. But these kind of moments are, of course, unique and very special for all of the lucky 10,000 or so fans that have managed to come out to the Camp Nou. Rick, we discussed the front line. We discussed the middle as we see Dani Alves there sliding in with full intent to take the ball away. And on that note, on Dani Alves, let's talk about the back line. Who's going to be your back three or four? You talked about a midfield of four, so I'm imagining we're going to see three in the back. will it include Dani Alves or not? Is my question.
Well, see, now I want to cheat and go to 4 at the back, which doesn't make any sense when you add up the team. Because it's hard to leave out Dani Alves or Jordi Alba, for example, at fullback. Yeah. If we're going with my formation, then it has to be 3 at the back, and it probably has to be Araujo, Piqué, given his performance yesterday, and Eric Garcia, who also was very, very good yesterday. So there's 3. But then I feel bad about leaving out Dani Alves and Jordi Alba, so it's difficult, you know. Maybe in this team we're gonna, and Javi's been doing this as well, we're gonna use different formations. So if we have 4 at the back, we might go for Alves and Alba, Araujo and Piqué, or Eric Garcia. So I mean, that's the beauty of it, is that there's so many games that Javi will be able to use all of his players like this.
Absolutely. And but do you see Dani Alves at this point in time making the starting 11 spot, would you say?
I think it's going to be one of those situations where we judge, or Javi judges, on a game-by-game basis.
Right.
You know, and maybe Dani Alves can play 1 game a week. Maybe he can play 2 games a week. We don't know fully yet. At 38 years old, it depends on how the player goes. If there's any injury trouble and all that. So I think that's one for Javi to look at as it goes forward. But based on what we saw against Boca Juniors, I think he's instantly ready, Dani Alves, to come in and have an impact.
Well, it remains to be seen, of course, but we cannot wait for this team to be finally 100% fit, and for Xavi to have all of the players finally available for him to choose from a plethora of talent. You look at this team up and down the pitch, starting in goal and ending in the front line, and you have to say they're some of the most talented football players in the world, and we just can't help to be excited for the future and what is to come. As now the team is getting ready to partake in a different drill, and is Xavi getting ready to also partake into the training?
Yeah, it seems like, because we're seeing now they're putting out some balls here just in the line. They're making some runs right now. I don't know what's the idea, but it's definitely going to happen something soon. They have prepared many different actions in this special training session. We're seeing, as we said before, Neto and Iñaki Peña's the one they're probably going to receive some shots, and they're going to practice it, do some goals if it's possible. And of course, the other part of the group that is still with the recovery session, now it seems like they will do a rondo or something like that. But we have too many different things happening right now on the pitch. And of course, every time that Xavi moves any part of the pitch, all the fans get crazy because it's Xavi.
It's Xavi. That's all that needs to be said. Hey, I don't know if you can see it any better than us here, but it seems that every time Ferran Torres gets close to Pedri, there's high fives and there's a little hug. It seems that he's very close friends with him. Is that right?
Yeah, no, when they come up just right here on the pitch, they were talking, they were laughing, and then during the rondos, and every time they're next to each other, they're always saying something, you know, and you can see the good relationship they have, and of course they're friends, and you already see that, and of course it's good. We said it during the preview, during all the presentation. It's easy for him to arrive to a club that he knows all the people here, and of course that some of them are already his teammate, even though it's a national team, but they have a good relationship with all of them. We also saw him hugging Eric Garcia or Busquets, so you can see definitely, I think Busquets was explaining something to him about, I don't know if it's the stands or the fans, but he was showing all the big part of the Camp Nou and the part of Graderia, the north. I don't know what he was explaining at that time, but probably he was asking where his family is going to sit now during the games.
Ah, okay. Picking out the best seats in the house. Yeah, that is important, of course.
I think so, yes.
And Rick, let's talk a little bit more about the man that we're seeing on our screens right here, the man of the hour, the newly arrived Ferran Torres, who imagine will be a seamless fit to Xavi's system, given the fact that he has played in a similar system, of course, over Manchester City under Pep Guardiola, and with Luis Enrique for the national team as well. He'll be joining players that have been his teammates for the Spanish national side, a system that fits the bill, that fits his playing style as well. And reportedly, even of course, Pep Guardiola as well, but along with Pep, also Kun Agüero during his time at City. sort of helped him to become more of a number 9 and get used to attacking spaces, but not just as a right winger, but also having that vision that a number 9 needs to have. How do you think that will impact him, sort of the influence of somebody like Kun Agüero?
Undoubtedly, it's helped him become much more of a goal scorer, as we saw his numbers increased a lot in front of goal at Man City compared to at Valencia, where he was more of a pure winger. And I think...
Sorry, Rick. Yeah, go ahead.
Why the balls are just right here on the line, because they're kicking the ball to the fans, and they can give this as a memory, as a gift.
Oh, this is the big moment. This is a big moment for sure. Now the people are going to go crazy. I don't know if you will still be able to hear me. I don't think Rick can hear me at this point. But yes, the balls are being launched into the stands, and all the kids, all the fans here at the stadium are going absolutely crazy, in the hope, of course, that they're gonna hit the lottery, que les toca el gordo, and they get to take home with them a beautiful souvenir and a memory. That would be one of these balls that are being kicked by the Barca players into the stands. Let's see if we can see some of the lucky winners. As Rick, you and I will probably have to watch out that none of these balls will hit us in the back of the head, maybe.
I think the players, they're professionals. They can aim it, unless they've got a grudge against us.
Oh, there we go. Another one flying way to the back there. Another few. They're going crazy. I see them, tackling each other.
Now decided not to kick the ball, and he give it straight to a little boy in the corner.
Oh, that's nice. That's a good shout, yeah, because with these balls being launched, you often feel that the people in the front rows, Ricky, everybody wants the ball to come their direction, but the people in the front row might have less of a chance to get the ball, but there you go. The last ball has been shot into the stands, and the lucky fan will be able to take that Barca ball back home with them and tell them that, Ricky Puig himself passed him that ball. I think there's 2 more going to be launched, but Ricky is going to give this one to a lucky fan in the front row, and Ilias as well is approaching a family, and that's it. That's the last of them, isn't it, Mai?
Yeah, we saw Ricky giving the ball also to a little kid just right there in front of the line. Not next, but really close to Piqué, who was saying hello to the girl who's at the hospital on the rowboat. So definitely is a special day and a special moment for all of them. And we'll see that the players that played yesterday, they're really tired. They're right now just falling on the ground because they just want to rest. It was a really late flight. They won, obviously, yesterday with that great game. After all the break and everything, it means a lot for them. But at this point, they just want to go home. They want to rest because it has been the long 2 days.
Of course. And as we're seeing Sergio Busquets being charitable and launching another ball into the stands. And at this point, Rick, I would say that, we might need to turn our heads around, make sure that we're not going to go viral on YouTube anytime soon. Or because the balls they're coming in. They're coming in foul. There goes one.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And as Mai was mentioning, we're seeing the majority of the players that partook in yesterday's game taking a rest, while the newcomer, Ferran Torres, as well as Pedri, and plenty of the B team players and youth team players are taking part in this drill. Perhaps one of the most exciting drills.
Yeah, I think so. I think the players absolutely love kicking the balls into the stands and getting the fans excited. And now, of course, everyone likes to see shots being taken on goal, some great saves too. And this is definitely one of the highlights of the open training session, isn't it? When you get to see some goals fly in.
I mean, with you getting accreditation to the games, are you used to being in this position and seeing the players so up close and personal?
Well, you know what? The press box at Camp Nou is very, very high up. It's right at the top of the stand.
Yeah.
So actually, it's a treat for me too, being this close to the pitch and seeing the intensity. I mean, we saw a minute ago, Sergio Busquets sprinted behind us and came to a stop. And it was like watching a car go from 60 to 0 and slamming on the brakes. It was amazing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Araujo being called out now by the fans, my.
Yeah, they're screaming his name. All of them are applauding to him. He's doing the same for the fans, and you can hear it, Diego. Araujo.
I mean, how quickly has this still very young Uruguayan defender become not just a fan favorite, but also, we talk about leaders of the team, we have to talk about Araujo.
He's absolutely key in the Barcelona defense. For me, anytime he's fit, anytime he's available, he will be in my defense. And the amazing thing about him is a bit like Gerard Piqué, he relishes the attacking side of defending too.
Yeah.
We saw yesterday he played at left back. It was rare for him, not seen him at left back before. And he spent a lot of time in attacking areas, and he loves getting the ball at his feet and rampaging up the pitch with it.
I'll tell you what, if Luke didn't score that goal, Araujo is right behind him, ready to put that one in. Yeah.
Probably said to him afterwards, you should have left that one for me.
It's fine,
you had 2 goals.
Yeah. Well, I think, I don't know, looking back at that play, Araujo, when he starts making that run, it looks like Mingueza was actually eyeing Araujo. That was my my interpretation anyway, as Dani Alves...
Araujo's haircut definitely calls him out on the pitch. It's for Mingueza to see.
Yeah, exactly. Easy target. As Memphis now gets one in. Memphis, of course, has been a big talking point as well now with the signing of Ferran Torres, and we talk about his position, his versatility. Where do you think that leaves Memphis?
I think the same way I was saying about Serginho Dest, the arrival of a new attacker means it's a challenge for all the other attackers at the club, because it's so hard and so competitive in a team like Barca to keep your spot. So I think Memphis will raise his game accordingly. And he's had a little break, and I hope that he comes back with the way he played against Real Sociedad in the first game of the season is the Memphis that I think he wants to be and that Barca fans want to see. And there's a big challenge in the second half of the season now, especially as Ronald Koeman really wants Memphis to come, and he came for Koeman, and then obviously Koeman left the club. So it's a new challenge, a new coach, and another coach he has to prove himself to.
And what do you think about, his positioning on the field? I remember from my interview with Memphis on his first day of his arrival, his presentation day, he talked about him being more comfortable on the left, that he will of course play wherever the coach will want him to play, but he did point out the fact that he's perhaps not an all-out number 9. What do you think that leaves him now?
It's kind of difficult because
I got a touch.
At times, Xavi has put Ferran Jutgla there recently, and I think Jutgla makes more traditional runs in that centre forward role, even though he's can play wider. But I think Memphis likes to come deep. So it depends. And so far in the systems that Xavi's used, it hasn't quite worked for Memphis, because he's almost like he wants to come deep and get the ball and start moves himself. The same way that Lionel Messi would when he was at Barca. Whereas with Xavi's system, it might make more sense for a player who likes to go beyond the defender to play in the attack. So Memphis might also be used on the left flank in this situation, because he has got that ability to go past a man. And it's not an ideal situation for him, but that's how football works. Sometimes you end up in situations where you have to adapt, and we'll see if he can.
We certainly will. As again, Dani Alves here on the back of a beautiful volley. This has to be, Sergio Busquets hitting the woodwork there, and Dani Alves sending another ball flying into the crowd. But this has to be one of my favorite drills as well, Rick, when it comes to playing FIFA or any of those games. To optimize your performance and stuff. Do you play FIFA or Pro Evo?
I don't currently have the latest editions, but I have historically spent a lot of hours, too many hours, I would say, playing these games.
This was always one of my favorite drills. Beautiful curler there by Pedri. Pedri, one of those players that is just itching, of course, as well, counting down the days to be back, and hopefully he will be back in the next upcoming match.
Well, Diego, talking about that, Xavi said it a few days ago that Memphis, Pedri, and Ansu Fati are going pretty well. That doesn't mean we'll have a date and a time that they will be back, but for sure things are getting better for the 3 of them, and we hope to see them anytime soon.
Of course, as we were noting before, it is going to be a very busy month of January for Football Club Barcelona, because before we continue our commitment within La Liga Santander, where we have to face Granada, it's first Linares Deportivo in what would be the opening game of the Copa del Rey.
Yes, we will play it against Linares on Wednesday, if I'm not wrong, at 7:30 p.m. local time, Central European time. And then we will have the game against Granada, then the Super Cup against Real Madrid on the 12th. If we win that game, that means we're going to play the final on the 16th. Then we're going to have a midweek game against Rayo Vallecano, and then Alaves. These last two, the game against Rayo Vallecano and Alaves, they have to confirm the date and time. But what we know for sure is from now on we will have 3 games, and one of them against Real Madrid.
Exactly, a Clásico Rick. That will take place in the month of January. It's, of course, the Spanish Super Cup. It's a trophy that is up for grabs. We know that Barça is obliged to compete for all trophies, and the game against Real Madrid in and of itself will always, we know, will be competitive. But how do you think Xavi will approach this game in the Copa, in the Spanish Cup against Linares? Do you think he will try to take advantage and have, let's say, or put together as many of his regular starters, or do you think he will still give preference to more of the youth players?
Well, as we've seen with all the injuries and the COVID cases, there's not too much difference at the moment. There's so many youth players in that current team that I think Xavi will pick the strongest team he has, more or less, because you don't want to go too deep. You can play. He gave some debuts yesterday, so maybe someone like Alvaro Sanz could get a start. But there's so many youth players already in the first team. I think he just has to go with the best team that he has.
So if my count doesn't fail me here, we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and potentially 6 games in the month of January that are still left to play if Barça do make it to the final of the Super Cup. Make that with last night's game as well. You're talking a jam-packed month of January.
It's a very intense month, and it's going to be a very intense second half of the season as well, because we've seen how, obviously, with the World Cup later on in the year, in 2022, the season's a little bit compressed, and then they have a bit earlier break, and then they start a bit earlier to fit in the World Cup. So it's just going to be a hugely intense year for these players, but I think they'll relish it because they love being on the pitch, and there's so many games, and they're all going to get minutes, and I think that a lot of these players will also want to prove to their countries ahead of the World Cup they should be part of that setup. So everyone's going to be going out there 100%, and there are no easy games. So even this game at Linares is going to be a tough game.
It will be a tough game, absolutely. These kind of games in the Cup are never easy, and of course for these smaller, more humble teams, it's a great occasion for them to face juggernaut, the likes of the Catalan Giants. And is it right that we're gonna start the game, the little mini football match pretty soon between the Barça players? Is that right?
Can you repeat it, Diego? I'm sorry, because I have...
No, I said by the looks of things, we're going to start the game pretty soon between the two Barça... I don't know.
Groups.
The groups, the two Barça groups.
Yeah, the same. Is the ones that played yesterday are going to be out because they obviously need to rest. But we're seeing, obviously, some of the Barça B players in the under-19 because Stanis is over there also. And Elias is with the ones that have recovery today. And they're going to play a little match. They're going to play just in front of us. And, of course, everyone is excited about this because we're going to see Pedri, who's just right there wearing that orange. But they put on it during the training session. We're seeing also Busquets, Arnau, Álvaro Sanz, Iñaki, Neto, all of them just right there for that little game. And, of course, as you imagine, the ones that are not going to play this game is just because they don't want to take any risk.
So utmost precaution then for the players that either played or are coming off of the back of injuries. But the game is already underway. A near goal-scoring chance there. I think it was for Sergio Busquets. I'm not entirely sure if he is wearing a peton. How do you say peton?
Bib.
Bib. That's the word I was looking for before. The group
exactly,
split between bibs, yes.
I was looking for the same because I was thinking, I think it's not that.
No, exactly. And these kind of matches, of course, always fun. Being played in a minimal space, 5 against 5, with one player who will be switching sides. And it was a great way for these players to really showcase their talent.
I don't know, Diego, if you heard before, but Ter Stegen was doing some warming up along with De La Fuente, and then he walked to the other part of the pitch, and all the fans went crazy, and they were cheering his name and applauding him, of course, for what happened yesterday, and because we always said it, he's future captain of this club.
No, absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt, we can expect him to take over the captaincy role. He's already what we would like to call a moral leader. And, well, given his impressive performance yesterday, he was vital for the team taking home those eventual 3 points. Rick, should we talk a little bit more about Ferran Torres and some of the qualities, the things that he maybe provides as a player as well? We know that he's a player that plays in all three of the position, or can play in all three of those positions. And we talked about as well what you think Xavi will make most use of him in that number 9 position. From what you've seen from him, what is it that impresses you the most? Is it the way that his ability to read the game, maybe how generous he is as a player, the ability to create space for himself or his teammates? Is it his finishing abilities? What would you say stands out the most of the new Barca signing?
He is a very good finisher, though. To answer the question, I'd probably say his directness and his pace and electricity. He's one of those players that everyone kind of loves when he's on the ball, because the sort of player that gets fans on the edge of their seat, that gets people excited. You know something's going to happen, because the only thing he wants to do is either score or create. So he's going to drive down the wing, and I think, or through the centre if he is playing in the false 9 role. And I think that his versatility is also crucial for Barca and for Xavi. Anywhere across the attack, Ferran Torres will be a threat.
And when Xavi was asked this question, he talked about his best virtue being his personality, his character, the fact that he's come in so ambitious and humble as well. But that basically that his personality is something that stood out the most.
I heard Xavi say this, but then the second thing he said was also he has goals. He has goals right afterwards, and I think that is going to be crucial too. But of course, Xavi wants players with personality, players, and he said this, that in attacking areas are not afraid to take people on. That's what he's asked for from Ilias and Abde, the young wingers who have come through into the first team recently. He just wants them to be able to not feel any fear. Don't worry about repercussions or anyone being like, oh, why did you shoot that, or why didn't you pass it? That he wants them to feel empowered to take on players and get into the area. And Ferran Torres absolutely loves to do that, so he's going to be the perfect signing.
Is by some described as the perfect player to sort of beat his or attack defenses on their backs. Again, I'm butchering this translation, going this literal translation from Spanish into English. But Rick, you know what I'm talking about: attacking defenders, the back of the defenders,
getting in behind them,
getting in behind the defenders. Thank you, and losing their markers. Is that an area where Barca has been sort of lacking in talent and kind of been exposed so far?
The problem is they have these players, but they've just been injured for a lot of the season. Ansu Fati is another one who's very good at this, who can exploit spaces, and suddenly the defender turns around and he's 10 yards ahead of you with the ball. And I think obviously Ansu come back will help that too. Dembele has missed a lot of the season. He's only come back, quite recently. Yeah. And he's another one who can do exactly that. And I feel a little bit sorry for Ronald Koeman, because he didn't have these players when he was in charge because they were injured.
Yeah. No, of course, you have to feel for Ronald Koeman, who was also going through the similar trials and tribulations, just string of bad luck that Xavi had gone through. But luckily for us, that was in the past. We can officially call that now the past. We can call that 2021, and we can look forward to a year 2022 that'll hopefully bring more luck to this team, who, given the circumstances as well, Rick, have done quite well. I mean, we're now talking about a Barca that are just 1 point away from their objective of finishing in the top 4.
Yeah, you look at the league table and suddenly all the doom and gloom around Barca from 2021 suddenly looks, I won't say completely gone, because it's a process you have to build. Of
course.
But certainly in the rearview mirror. And I think everyone, as I said earlier, everyone in the stadium today, everyone around Barca is excited for what's going to come for 2022. They're looking forward, and there's a positive sort of wind of change just swept through the club with Xavi's arrival, with players, including Ilias and Abde, who I mentioned earlier, coming through and having that ability to not be afraid to take people on and all the young players coming through from La Masia.
Yeah.
I think it's a very exciting time, in fact, to be around Barcelona.
I agree, and I think it's good of you is also to mention the names, the likes of Ilias and Abde, because they have been filling in the boots, the big boots, of course, that your Ansus and Dembele would have left for these youngsters to fill, and they have done so admirably. I mean, in particular in the case of Abde and Jutkla, they all managed to get their first goals for the first team as well. So really doing justice as well to the call-up from Xavi Hernandez and their debuts amongst the first team. Now, there were more players, I'm trying to get my notes together, that joined the first team in Mallorca yesterday. Some names that were probably not necessarily familiar to a lot of the regular Barca viewers, and I don't have this sheet available with me right now, but I mean, again, Xavi's had to call up on a lot of young players that had never made their start for the first team, that had to debut under very difficult circumstances, and on top of that, they managed to do so, bringing home the 3 points. I mean, much more we cannot ask from this team.
I think that Alvaro Sanz, one of those players who did come on and make their debut yesterday.
So, exactly, Alvaro Sanz, yes.
Alvaro Sanz and Stanis Pedrola, yes.
Stanis, yes, exactly. Alvaro Sanz and Stanis in particular.
Yeah. So they came on. Alvaro Sanz has spent a long time at Barca coming through, and he's played a right back before, but he is a defensive midfielder by trade, and he came on and he had a good impact because Barca needed fresh legs in the middle, and he helped them get to the end of the game, keeping the scoreline to 0 for Mallorca, which when you only got a 1-0 lead, it was imperative. Obviously, Ter Stegen has the biggest credit in that, as he made that phenomenal save from Costa towards the end. But it was a good debut for Alvaro Sanz, and he actually played in the Maradona Cup as well. And I think that that wasn't his strongest match against Boca Juniors, but he did enough to show Xavi that he's ready to contribute. And of course, Stanis as well came on, and he too will be able to have chances if, and hopefully this isn't the case, if there are still injuries and COVID cases, as there probably will be because of the intense schedule and because of the fact that the pandemic hasn't been solved yet.
And of course, with a coach like Xavi Hernandez, who knows the youth team and the development that goes there, that takes place in the youth ranks ever so well, won't blink his eye twice and trust these younger players that are knocking on the door of the first team. And how impressed were you with Luc de Jong's performance? I mean, obviously, besides the goal that he scored, his overall performance in yesterday's game was very, very positive for a player who's going through a tough time.
I think he's been a little bit unlucky, Luc de Jong, in previous games when he's come very close to scoring, and it's been a question of millimetres. And in fact, it looked like it was going to be the same again yesterday when he's got his studs to the first ball and hit the post, and then that amazing bicycle kick he hit the crossbar with. I thought, oh no, it's an unfortunate evening for Luc de Jong. But then he headed in the cross from Oscar Mingueza to win the game for Barca, win them 3 points. And that was definitely, I think Xavi, you saw in Xavi's reaction after the game when he was asked about Luc de Jong. He was absolutely thrilled for him, because he said he's a fantastic professional. And Luc de Jong himself says all he wants to do is turn up, do what the coach wants, and when he gets the chance to play, try and win games for Barcelona. And that is what he did yesterday. So I was happy for Luc de Jong. And I think ultimately, I don't think he arrived. He didn't come. He came under Ron Koeman late in the transfer window, and I don't think he arrived to be a regular starter for Barca. He was someone to change the game, to give them a plan B if games weren't going exactly how Barca wanted, to change the strategy. But because of all the injuries, he had to end up starting more games than he would have expected.
Yeah, no, you're right, Rick. His signing was, of course, finalized just at the finish line at the end of the summer transfer market. And he came over with a lot of excitement and joy indeed to be joining a club like Football Club Barcelona. And he has been unlucky when it comes to the chances that he had and not making those. But we did talk about Luc de Jong being that kind of player that scores on the big stages, on the big occasions. And even though maybe typically a game against Mallorca will not be deemed or seen as the big stage like he did when he scored against Real Madrid or Atletico or in the Europa League semi-finals and finals, for Barca, yesterday in San Moix, it was absolutely the biggest stage, and he earned us those 3 points, and we're very, very grateful for it, of course.
Absolutely, and once Real Madrid leaves, once Real Betis leaves, once Real Sociedad drop points, that game becomes bigger and bigger and bigger with every match of the day. Exactly. that was happening.
Exactly.
And so Barca had to win to cut the gap and move within just 1 point of the champions Atletico Madrid. and that shows you they are climbing up the table. The second half of the season promises to be good for Barca.
It promises to be good, with Luke de Jong scoring, Marc-André ter Stegen keeping the goals out in the back of the net, and new signings continue to come in as the joy of the fans continues to be raised by these players of the first team right here that we're now seeing salute the fans. And I believe, Mai, they're bidding farewell as the training session has come to an end. Is that right?
Yeah, it's come to an end. They're saying obviously goodbye to all the fans. We will have our player right now anytime soon. But yes, they're going out to rest. They need to sleep. They need to go to bed because obviously it was a long trip and they will travel in. Last night they arrived at home really late. And right now, obviously, they're now doing like a special tour as always on the road here on the beach to say thanks to the fans because they have confirmed 13,500 fans today at Camp Nou.
Oh, wow. 1,300 and 5,000 fans have joined us today in the Camp Nou. So actually more than we had anticipated. Club managed to sell more seats, over 300 or 3,000 more seats than was originally planned. So excellent to see that everybody has come out to welcome the new year with this team and welcome all of the good vibes as well and the excitement that are being personified in this training session here today. Led by Dani Alves once more, Gerard Piqué, Nico, Ricky Puig, Marc-André ter Stegen. We're seeing all of the players make one final last round of honor before, as we heard from Rick, I told you we had to watch our backs, Rick. There was one ball that went flying not too far away from us. But as Mike mentioned, one player will shortly be joining her along the touchlines. So make sure you stay for that interview. Rick, more Barca balls are being launched into the stands. More fans are being greeted. Luke de Jong happy, of course, excited to have gotten his goal with Barca and have secured those 3 points for this team, who have got, as I mentioned, a little bit of time to rest now, but not too much time, because in just 2 days, this team will be back in action again, this time in the Spanish Copa del Rey, the Spanish Cup. Going back into the tunnels as Dani Alves is bidding farewell to those fans who unfortunately couldn't make it out to this training session in person. The fans also watching over from their homes or potentially hospitals, and more Barca fans there huddling up together there. Pedri, along his good friend and new signing, Ferran Torres, greeting the fans at home and here in the Camp Nou. Let's now head over to Mai, who has got one of the surprise players standing right next to her. Mai, over to you.
Yeah, this is the big surprise because we're lucky to have Memphis Depay next to us on this special day. First of all, Memphis, we have to tell you Happy New Year, and how are you?
I'm very good, I'm enjoying the session. I'm back training with the team. For me, it's really good feelings.
Fans want to see you anytime soon on the beach. Can you let us know a little bit of how's everything with the recovery?
No, it's going very well. I did a first training today, full with the team, so the sensation is very good, so I hope to be back very, very soon.
We want to ask you, what do you think about this tradition, this Barca tradition, to have this open doors training session in front of all the fans?
Yeah, it's amazing. I haven't seen this anywhere in the world where the fans are so passionate. They came out today, and obviously it's a beautiful day. I mean, I haven't seen it anywhere else, so it's very important for the team that they keep supporting us and the whole training they give us the energy that we need actually. And yeah, for 2022, this is the energy that we need, and they bring it always. So I'm enjoying it.
that's my next question. If I ask you a personal question, what will be your goal for this 2022, this new year?
Obviously, first goal is that everybody stays healthy, you know, the people that I love around, but like for the club and personal for me, obviously I came here to win titles. So yeah, we have to improve. We know that we work very, very hard. Everybody has great desires for the new year. So we started yesterday with a good victory. So we have to win points and yeah, that's the most important thing, I think, to climb back on top where Barcelona belongs.
Well, thank you so much. We deserve you all the best for this 2022, and we hope to see you anytime soon.
Thank you very much.
Well, Diego, the words from Memphis Depay, all the fans you can see right now, they're getting crazy because they want something from Memphis Depay. They're asking for skirt, shorts, boots, whatever it's possible.
Well, thank you so much, Mai, and a happy New Year to you once again as well. We look forward to being alongside of you for all of the Barca lives and whatever is to come in this year, 2022. And thank you as well, Rick, of course, for joining us on this special day, the presentation of Ferran Torres, as well as the open door training session. Hope you enjoyed it. Was this a first for you?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's the first time I've come to one of the Barca sessions, certainly from this close up. It's amazing. I've seen them a few times at the training ground, but not at the Camp Nou pitch. So it was great to see.
It was great to see, and as Memphis said, he had not seen it anywhere else take place neither, so it's truly a very special occasion indeed, and of course it is what makes us Miss King Club more than a club. These kind of things that we do for the fans, so they're able to come here, fathers and mothers with their sons and daughters. It's an absolute special occasion and a great way, of course, to start this new year. Let's hope that 2022 will be a fruitful one for Barca. We thank you ever so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this live broadcast, and make sure that you join us, of course, as well for the countdowns and Barca Live Match Centers that are coming up the rest of this week. We will see you then. Bye-bye.